Hey YouTube, this is David from Chunks Development. This is WordPress start to finish, step-by-step guide to learning WordPress and getting your website online. This is part 3, how to create your database and install WordPress. In the previous tutorial video in part 2, we went over finding the best web host for your needs and planning your WordPress deployment. After the presentation aspect of the video, I showed you how to save some money to get your WordPress site hosted on WPEngine servers. I also showed you how super easy it was to install WordPress on WPEngine. This video is intended for the people who decided to go with shared hosting such as Bluehost or HostGator. This video will show you how to create your database and install WordPress in a shared hosting environment, as well as create a database and install WordPress locally on your computer for testing. The first shared hosting install method I will go over will be the OneClick Install method. There are a few shared hosting companies that support OneClick Install scripts. Both Bluehost and HostGator support this option. I'll add links down in the description that can save you some money on these services if you decide to go with either Bluehost or HostGator. The second shared hosting install method I will go over is a manual install. This will involve creating a database, uploading WordPress to the server, and then installing WordPress. The last method I'll show you is how to install WordPress on your local computer for testing purposes. This is extremely useful if for some reason you decided to go with shared hosting over WPEngine. I say this not to bash shared hosting, but because WPEngine has a staging area to test changes before going live on your site. That way you don't break your website when you change your theme or add plugins or perform updates. Shared hosting doesn't support that feature, so recreating your WordPress site locally is a great way to test changes or plugins without breaking your live website. Alright, now that we've gone over this short little presentation, we can get right into the tutorial. Alright, now we'll get into the first install method on shared hosting, which is the OneClick Install. Somewhere on your control panel you should see a little table like this of the different content management systems you can install on your website. I've gone ahead and created a subdomain for this OneClick Install, wordpressdev.bubachunksdevelopment.com. And we'll go ahead and click on the WordPress install. And that'll bring us to a page like this. We'll then click on the install WordPress. And then it's going to want some additional information. So we'll go ahead and tell it which domain we want to put this installation on. I'll choose the WordPress dev.bubachunksdevelopment. And then it's going to want some additional information like email address for the admin, title of your blog, admin username, the admin's first name, and the admin's last name. So let's go ahead and fill this out real quick. We'll just give it a title of OneClick Install. We'll give admin username, first name, and a last name. And then we'll go ahead and click on Install WordPress. And it'll tell you that your install is running. Now it says the install is complete, so let's check it out. Alright, now that the install is complete, we can ignore the rest of this page. They're just trying to upsell you on themes and stuff. So let's go back to our subdomain and let's refresh this page. And we'll see that WordPress was successfully installed on this subdomain. So now let's go to admin login. and then it's going to want the username or the email that you created this WordPress install with. So let's go ahead and type in my email address. And now we won't have a password yet. And it doesn't inform us of our password yet, so I'll click on lost my password. I'll enter that email address for the admin side that I created. Get new password. And then I'll check the email. And then we'll receive an email like this: OneClick Install password reset. So we can follow this address. And then I'll just use this default password. Copy that. Reset password. Login. And now I'll type in my email address and that password that I just reset. And then I'll click on Remember Me and log in. And that will automatically bring you into your admin dashboard on your install. You can click on I don't need help. Okay, and there we go. The OneClick install has successfully been installed on this subdomain. Now, if you want to check this out, if you have access to FTP or File Transfer Protocol, we can open up FileZilla and see that all of the files have automatically been uploaded and installed on your server. And now if we go back and we click on databases, we can get into the PHP MyAdmin, and you can see that your database has been automatically created for you. And that is how the OneClick install works. Alright, now that I've taught you how to use the OneClick install to install WordPress, if your current web host or if you selected a shared hosting plan that doesn't support the quick install, I'll show you how to install WordPress manually. It's going to be a little bit more work, but it's still pretty easy. So the first thing we're going to do is create our database. So let's go to our database and let's go ahead and create a database. So I'm going to name this database manual. And I'm going to create database. Now, some hosting companies are going to allow you to create your database in PHP MyAdmin directly. That'll be a little bit different, but we'll go over how to do that in the local install. Now that you have a database though, we're going to need to add a database user for that database. So let's go ahead and create a username. I'm just going to use the same name, manual. And then we'll give this a password. Now we want a strong password, so I'm just going to use the password generator. And it's going to generate a password for us. I have copied this password. Use password. Alright, and now we can create user. Now we've currently created the database, manual, and the user, manual. So now we're going to have to add user to database. So we'll add user manual to database manual, and we'll add. And then you'll have to give that user privileges for that database. Since this is a test, I'm just going to go through and select all privileges. Make changes. Alright, now our database is set up. So now, as you can see though, we haven't done anything to the website. There's still no files on this. If we go to FileZilla, well, here's the files from the quick install. Go back, click on the manual install. You'll see there's no files on the server for that right now. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to download these files. We'll go to wordpress.org, and you can see up in this top corner, download WordPress. So we'll go ahead and download WordPress. Yeah, we want the latest version, so download. Save file. Okay. And then you'll see that it downloaded WordPress in a zip file. So let's go ahead and open that. I'm going to minimize the internet right now. And I'm going to minimize FileZilla. Let's go ahead and drag this out of our download folder. So now we have the zip file full of the WordPress documents. So let's go ahead and extract these. Yeah, we'll just toss it on the desktop for right now. And then you'll see that all of the WordPress documents have a total of 22.2 megabytes. Alright, now our WordPress files are completely uncompressed. So we can go ahead and open this folder. And inside there you'll see a folder named WordPress. And then inside that folder you'll see all of the files that you'll need to get your website up. So then you'll come into your file transfer program. I'm using FileZilla, and you just want to copy all these files and drag them onto your server. There's going to be about 1,500 files total, so depending on your upload speed and your server speed, this could take anywhere from a minute to 10 minutes to upload. So I'm going to go ahead and skip through this, and I'll see you when these are all done. Okay. Now we have successfully transferred all 1,479 files onto the web server. So we'll open up the internet again, and we will go to wherever you just uploaded those files to. In my case, it's a manual WordPress subdomain of my website. And we'll refresh that page. And you'll see a WordPress setup configuration page. Now the first thing you're going to want to do is select the language that you plan on using for your website. I'm going to use English. Continue. And then you'll see that WordPress needs a little bit of information before creating your website. So you're going to have to tell WordPress your database name. You're going to have to tell it your database username, your database password, your database host, and a table prefix. So let's go. Okay, the database name is going to be that database that we just created. So in my case, it's going to be ragegami_manual. So let's enter that in. And then I made the username for this database the same. And then the password is that password that I copied to the clipboard. So let's paste that in. And then for database host, almost every hosting company uses localhost because it's on their servers. So for them, it's locally. So for your website, it would be locally as well. And then the table prefix, I'm just going to leave that as default, WordPress _ and then the table name. So let's submit this. Alright, pretty sure the password was wrong, so I recreated the password. After re-entering that information, you'll see a page like this. Basically, it's telling you that all the information that you just entered is now correct, and you can now run the installation for WordPress. So let's go ahead and run the install. And now WordPress should now be installed. So let's give it a site title. Let's use manual install. Let's give it a username for the admin account. So let's use Bubba Chunk again. And then it gives you a password for your admin account, which you can copy. And then an email address for the admin account. And then this last one, it's up to you. If you click this, it'll discourage search engines from indexing your website. What this means is if you check this box, you're way less likely to show up on Google. Most people don't want that. They want their website to be seen by as many people as possible. So I'm not going to check this box right now. So now let's install WordPress. And there you go. WordPress is now up and running on your subdomain. Let's go visit site. And there we go. The install was successful. Now have a WordPress site hosted manually. Okay, now that we have the one-click install and the manual install out of the way, we'll move on to the local install. Now, when installing WordPress locally, you're going to need to have a program called WAMP. If you're on Windows, on Linux, you're going to want to download something called LAMP, and on Mac, you're going to want to download something called MAMP. What this stands for is Windows Apache MySQL PHP. So this will download the entire server hosting thing that you're going to need. So I already have this installed, so I'm not going to download it. But when you want to download this, you go to wampserver.com. And if you haven't already, you're going to need to download WordPress. Okay, after you download and install WAMP, you're going to need to start those services. Now when this turns green, that means that your server's running and ready to go. There we go, it turned green. So when WAMP is running, it uses a directory called localhost, which is your computer. Those files are stored. Let's go to Windows Explorer. Those files are stored on your C drive in a WAMP folder, and the hosting files are kept in a folder called www. So let's click on that. As you can see, I have a bunch of local websites on here. Let's create a new one though, folder called, let's just do local WordPress. Okay, now that we have that folder, local WordPress, I'll have to locate it. There we go. Now we'll take those WordPress files that we downloaded and we'll just copy those into this folder. Now after those files are in there, we're going to need to click on WAMP and we're going to have to go to PHP MyAdmin. Now PHP MyAdmin is your database control center basically. Now in here we'll create a new database, new, and then we'll give it a database name. I'm going to do local WordPress. And we'll go ahead and create this database. Database has been created. Okay. We'll see it over in the Database Explorer, local WordPress. Now at this point, your database is going to be empty. It's not going to have any tables. You don't really want to do anything right here yet. We'll go back up to PHP MyAdmin, and we'll find a tab that says Users. We'll click on that. And then we're going to want to create a user for this database. So let's go ahead and click on Add User. And then we're going to want a username. So I'm just going to make the username the same as the database, local WordPress. And then for host, I'm going to select localhost. And then for a password, I'm just going to generate a password for this user. Copy this. And now database for user. Now if you create a user first, then you can go ahead and create a database with the same name and grant all privileges. So that's always an option as well. Right now though, I'm going to just give this user all privileges globally. Let's click go, and that'll create that user. Now we're going to need to find the database that we just created, local WordPress. And then we'll click on privileges. And as you can see, local WordPress user has privileges for this database. So now what we can do is we can open up a new tab, and we can go to basically this folder that we just created, local WordPress. We're going to go to this, but we're going to go to it in the browser. So we'll type in localhost, and then we'll go // local WordPress. And then we'll click enter. And this will bring us right back up to where we were on the manual install. So we'll click continue. Same information is needed. Let's go. And then the database name is local WordPress. The username is also local WordPress. The password is that password that I just copied when creating that user. The database host will be localhost, and we'll keep the table prefix the same. Now I'll submit that. Alright, it's now telling us that that's successful. The information is correct, so we'll run the install. And now it's going to give us some more information that it wants. So it wants a site title. I'll just go local install. Username for the admin account, I'll just keep it the same. I'll keep it my name. It'll give us a password. We'll copy this, or you can create your own. Email address, I'll just go as the same before. I'll enter my email address. Okay. And now this checkbox won't really matter because your website's not going to be online. Your website is on your computer, localhost. Okay, so we'll click Install WordPress. And when you reach this page that tells you that WordPress has been installed successfully on your local machine, we'll now enter that password that we copied. Remember, log in. And then it'll bring you to your admin dashboard. Now this shows that this has been successfully installed on your local machine. You'll see localhost / your directory. Alright, I hope that helped. Alright, I've now showed you how to install WordPress on your shared web hosting using the OneClick Install method. I've showed you how to install it manually on your shared hosting, and I've showed you how to install WordPress on your local machine. I hope this information has helped. If you'd like to learn more about Bubba Chunks development, you can visit my website at www.bubbachunksdevelopment.com. You can also follow me on Facebook and Twitter. All links for everything you'll need in this video will be posted down in the description. And as always, thanks for watching.